Can you save money? When you had SSI, were you able to save money or no?
No, I'm not allowed to save no money.
Why would you want more money than $2,000? Why would you want more than $2,000?
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Well, cause something broke. You know, like television's broken. Or anything broken or something like that.
Mm-hmm. As of December 2020, over 8 million Americans collected paychecks from the supplemental security income due to a combination of poverty and inability to make gainful employment as a result of disability or age. My mother was one of these 8 million recipients who was given the following assurance by Congress. As quote, building on the present Social Security program, the Social Security Amendments of 1972 would create a new federal program administered by the Social Security Administration designed to provide a positive assurance that the nation's aged, blind, and disabled people would no longer have to subsist on below poverty level incomes. In 2020, these 8 million Americans not only lived on below poverty level incomes, but they were also, and continue to be, subjected by coercion to stay in absolute poverty. The rules of SSI unarguably derive contingencies of punishment that prevent any effort to live above a less than humane standard set forth by our own federal government for the aged, blind, and disabled. The same people Congress assure would no longer have to subsist under such conditions. As of 08/11/2023, single SSI recipients receive $914 per month. For most recipients of the program, this is the only resource which can purchase housing, transportation, clothing, and basic necessities. The program requires that recipients both prior to and after enrollment for benefits not accumulate more than $2,000 in assets, which includes land, vehicles, and cash savings. If they fail to do so, even at the smallest of margins, the federal government could penalize the recipient by placing them in overpayment, further reducing the available resources to the aged, blind, or disabled individual, or subjecting them to a suspension or loss of income. That $2,000 in assets has not changed since 1989. If the limits had been adjusted for inflation since 1972, we would see for a single individual near $10,000 in retainable assets while using Social Security. That means you could repair your home. You could place a down payment on a home. You could purchase a vehicle with cash. You could save for an emergency. You could buy medical equipment that is necessary. For a couple, a married couple, that is almost $15,000, an ability to start a life and sustain yourself. That is no longer possible. And as such, people who are on SSI remain below the poverty line and have to sustain such a position under fear of penalty from the federal government that they will lose their SSI benefits and they will no longer be able to survive. That $2,000 limit necessitates that people forbear repairing their vehicle, forbear repairing their home, live without necessities that may be granted by others, have inability to provide themselves transportation, rely on others for transportation. They are subjected to a level of poverty that is below the standard that we should have for the aged, blind, and disabled. What we have here is a situation where people are stuck with two options. They can choose to live in absolute poverty. They will have no ability to repair their home at a reasonable level. They will have no ability to make car repairs that are extremely detrimental to the vehicle. They will have no ability to save for an emergency, thus living under constant stress and the horribleness of poverty. They're either forced to stay in this constant stressful position, or they can deviate from it, and they can find ways to hide money from Social Security. This makes sense. You would want to escape these poverty circumstances. You would want to increase your quality of life. This is natural for your human being to want to live as a respectable human, to have clothes, to just survive. If you break this, you could either choose to live under poverty, or you break this rule and you become a criminal in the eyes of Social Security. You deviate from the $2,000 asset limit, and you are now fraudulently using the program. And the punishment for fraudulently using the program is that you will lose the benefits that you rely on to survive as a disabled individual who cannot work. Or you could be forced to pay back those benefits. And that could be done over time, but they will take that from your Social Security check if they do find out about this over the asset, if they find out that you have money that puts you over the asset limit. And thus, you will have less money to survive on and less ability to save money for an emergency, and you would be subjected to more stressful conditions. This is inhumane. This is not the way we should be treating people who are poor, blind, or disabled. And this goes against the precedent that was set by Congress when they said, as quote, "This would be designed to provide a positive assurance that the nation's aged, blind, and disabled people would no longer have to subsist on below poverty level incomes." This is ridiculous. And as we see where the coercion lies, if we defined coercion by looking at Google, we will see that coercion is the practice of persuading someone to do something by using force or threats. We are persuading, if we want to use that word, someone to stay at below poverty level income through the use of force or threats. That force, that violence, is poverty. It is the inability to survive. It is the inability to purchase food. It is the inability to prepare for an emergency. It is the inability to provide medical equipment not covered by insurance. It is the inability to repair your home. It is the inability to buy cleaning supplies. It is the inability to do so many things that as a human being you should have the ability to do at the basic level. This is the richest country in the world, and we cannot provide this assurance. The cruelty of SSI is that instead of helping the blind, disabled, or aged escape poverty, it subjects them to coercion to poverty or the identity and treatment of a criminal. This is wrong. This is not a program that serves the purpose it was meant to serve. Social Security benefits also dissuade people, specifically SSI, from attempting any work, not because they are lazy, but because the penalties for failing to navigate a work program can be incredibly detrimental to any financial security, leveraging a loss of benefits even if the recipient can't follow through on employment. If a recipient wants to test their ability to work, maybe that they found a new skill, maybe they think they can enter the workforce, this is incredibly beneficial to someone's mental health, to make social contacts, to do all of these great things that members of society wish to do. They may wish to re-enter. But they may know that failure to do so, failure to maintain this work, will cause a near disastrous loss of income that will cause them to probably be homeless. They will not be able to pay rent. They will not be able to do the things that help them sustain their life if they fail to maintain the ability to work. As such, the penalties dissuade work. This is often used as a reference to SSI recipients being lazy and undeserving of benefits. The program itself does not establish motivating operations for success. Attempting work while disabled, and if that disability causes you to not be able to perform work as you suspected that you might be able to and need to rely on benefits, the income gathered from that work can disqualify you and suspend you from SSI, which means you have to go all through the disability process again. Again, we're seeing how you were coerced into poverty or you were coerced into being a criminal. There are only two options when you become a recipient of Social Security. So such recipients who want to find outside work, even for a few hours a week, if able or dissuaded from doing so. Social Security can also penalize recipients if they themselves made a mistake, subjecting them to unforeseen debts and clawbacks. This includes Social Security supplemental security income recipients. There is an eerie disconnect between the institution's perceived impact of an impoverished recipient of a large, unexpected debt and the actual mental harm detriment that can occur when a recipient receives a massive clawback from SSI. As such, it seems that the program was not written to be empathetic to those who are poor and rely on such a program to survive. Many Americans, hundreds if not thousands of Americans, receive letters in the mail claiming that they owe Social Security thousands of dollars when they have no such ability to pay them back. And as such, this can occur even if Social Security themselves made the mistake that resulted in the overpayment to the recipient. The program is understaffed, and it does not have the necessary foundations to work with recipients who are expected to receive this program for survival. It seems to be written not, again, for those assurances that were made by Congress, but to coerce individuals into sustained poverty. I myself understand that SSI has been tremendously helpful to many, even under its current state. I recognize this. This should not dissuade us as a country from living up to that original assurance, to protecting and giving its most vulnerable citizens a life worth living. Because as hard as it is to bear, it has failed the aged, blind, and disabled. And that includes my mother. On a final note, you may see a letter appear on your screen. After a complicated process and a lot of decisions that were meant to increase my mom's quality of life, we received this letter. And many of you may have received such a letter. I want you to know that you're not alone. And together, maybe the voice can be louder. Because alone, we don't mean much. But I think if we all came together and tried to solve this problem, Congress would have to listen. And if we can't change the situation for ourselves, we could change it for someone else. Thank you for listening. This is an important video to me. And I hope someone's learned something new about this program. Thank you.